Good evening everyone, welcome along to week 5 of TGB1. This is season 30 and we are here for Austria and Great Britain. Do not miss these races. We're expecting a bit of rain in Austria, so could be a fantastic conclusion to the race. But we are here in Austria where Aiden holds a 13-point lead over the closest rival Softy and Bullet just a further 8 points back. Josh, James, Paul, Phil will all feel they are in the title fight too. And joining us this week in second place at the moment is Cliffy. Raced in TGB1 a few seasons back, but he's back now full time and he'll be looking to fight at the front where he left off last time. So I'm joined then in the commentary box once again by two-time former TGB1 champion Johners. Johners, welcome back. Are you looking forward to today's races?
Yes, definitely looking forward to tonight's races. It's shaping up to be a very exciting battle and qualifying behind the pulse, it seems, as just over 2 attempts separates Cliffy in second, down to championship leader Aiden all the way down in 10th, which is quite a shocking qualifying so far for him, although he has done his best time on the super soft tyre. And as I say that, Jack Pearson makes it all row, front row, taking P2 off Cliffy by a quarter of a tenth. It's looking very exciting for this race in Austria, but the threat of rain could turn it into an all-time classic if things go the way it looks at the moment.
Well, we see Dan the Man lose it as he comes into the pit lane. He's binned it. He's lost a wheel. He's resettled to the circuit in a dangerous position. And my jinx of watching Dan the Man in qualifying has once again put Dan in the wall. Dan the Man with a huge shunt softy, also out of the session. Mine as well, so a few DNFs. This track proving to be a little trickier than you would have thought so. But as things stand, as you said, Jack was a fantastic that time, a 104.5. But Matt now into second place, just 2 tenths shy of Softy. And let's not watch out for where is Bullet at the moment, down in 11th position. That's not where we expect him to finish. And the same for title leader Aiden, who's currently in 10th. Is he on a lap now, or is he about to start one? He's going to use all that urge as he crosses the line. And he goes third quickest, a 104.4. So 6 tenths off Softy, and has had a bit of rain on the screen. I'm not sure.
Yes, it's definitely beginning to rain. I can see it on board with Aiden's car at the moment. There is rain dripping down the front of the halo as Aiden calls it a session, as well as better than Sniper. It looks like it might be an early, premature end to the session. The rain has come up. What is really the worst time for most of the front runners, as I think most have been shaping up for final runs, but that has not stopped Owen, who, as always, a little bit of moisture in the air, and he seems to come alive in that Force India. He seems to be at his best with mixed conditions. The rain starts to fall, and Owen, with a superb lap to get third place, as Cliffy also goes up to 4th, so maybe it's a little bit of life left in the track before it gets a bit too wet. So maybe you might see some last minute fires in, as that front 2 rows, well, I think Softy would be absolutely delighted with it at the moment, being on pole. His his 2 title rivals down to 5th and 12th, as Bullet now leaves the pits on what is going to be his last run, but might just be a bit too late with the rain beginning to fall. He's halfway round the outlap. He's already sliding all over the place, coming out of turn 3, down the DRS straight towards the bottom of the hill for turn 4. It might just be too late for him to set a reasonable lap. He's nearly a second off pole, and that just shows how competitive this league has been this season. The top 12 within a second, and out of the 15 that have done laps, the 3 outside of that second, one is on the soft tyre, and the other 2 have had a few issues in the session. PSN being a bit tricky again tonight, although I believe most drivers are in for the race, as we now see Bullet coming towards the end of his outlap, and it looks like he's just shaping up for a bit of
really struggling.
You see him on the curb all over the place as he comes around the last corner to start his lap now. It's going to be interesting to see if he could do something, as Cliffy now retires in 4th, and I think Bullet might have just timed it horrendously wrong here as he goes miles off at turn 1. That's not going to happen at all. DRS is still open, so the FIA the stewards are deciding it's dry enough to keep the DRS activated, although it's clearly not going to help Bullet's lap as he runs wide at turn 3 and now makes his way down the hill for turn 4. So I think we might be looking at the final grid for the race. So Softy looks like he's got it on pole position from Matt in second of the Williams, then have Owen and Cliffy 3rd and 4th. A superb session for Owen. Championship Aiden down in 5th. 6th place for Jack Pearson, who was 2nd alongside his teammate at one point, but he got Martin in 7th. Dan the Man, he was briefly 2nd place, down in 8th. Then it's Paul in 9th, who's still going. So Jake down in 10th, Selene 11th ahead of what was tight championship contender Bulletproof as Paul now retires the session. Bullet is coming around the last corner. It's not going to be a competitive lap time at all. As you can see, he's already past he's coming out the last corner, and already you can see it's just too wet. 3 seconds off the pace on that lap. That one not getting anywhere. And he will stay 12th ahead of James O'Connor, who is doing his usual tactic and focus on the race pace, being on the soft tyre, which might open up nicely for him if the rain does fall in the race. Ahead of Goings, Better Than Sniper, Smokey Jays, and Waffy Dweller, who had some internet issues and his car was stuck on the track and disqualified in his Bullet now spins and has a little donut show, maybe to celebrate Lewis Hamilton's 5th title win up the weekend.
Well, Bulletproof getting the timing wrong there. He's going to start in 12th, which is a huge shot for him. He would have thought to be right at the front with Softy. Softy, who in fact has won the most races here out of anyone in the history of TGP, is Bullet. Really struggling out there. It's the end of qualifying. No one will go quicker now. Only Bullet left on track. Putting a little show on for the fans, I think, who were treated to an exciting qualifying that unfortunately did see the rain fall at the end of the session, which meant cars could not improve. We couldn't get that final lap dash we normally see, or so used to seeing. But that is your grid as Bullet retires from the race, and it is Softy on pole. And Softy has to be. He's going to be a tough one to beat, John, surely.
Yeah, I think we'd have to agree that it was a very, very quick banker lap that he put in. And it was a lap that ultimately only one person was even close to matching, which was Matt. And I think he'd be very pleased with that. He knows he needs to make some ground up on Aiden. After a difficult couple of weeks, he... well, I say difficult couple of weeks. I was away last week and he stole the victory in France at the last corner. But there's been some issues this season with Softy. He's made some silly mistakes he wouldn't have done in the past. And I think he's going to be very determined to make up for lost opportunities early in the season. As you can see, the whole entirety of the top 10 on the Ultra Soft. Only one car qualifying on harder tyres for the race. As Softy takes pole from Matt and Owen a surprise 3rd for Force India.
Well, got the grid that we wanted to see. It's going to spice it up. Aiden lower down in the positions, the championship leader, 13 points clear of Softy going into this race. Aiden himself probably surprised to be up there. Of course, the reigning TGP2 champion only just earned himself promotion to the top tier, and after 8 rounds leads things by 13 points. So it looks like it's going to be a dry race. Watch out for Bullet at the back. We're going to follow his progress through the field. Aiden, Paul also wants to watch, and as you said, James, going for that tactic yet again of starting further down on a different set of tyres, although to be fair, with a wet qualifying session, I think it was still dry mainly for the start of the session anyway, so we should see James come into the race into the second half. So as the grid prepares to get ready for the 9th round of the season, it is the Austrian Grand Prix. The tyres here are the Ultra Soft, Super Soft and Soft. 10 turns, a 4.3 kilometre circuit with 18 laps to take part. So the closing stages now. The drivers preparing to go racing. The lights will come on very shortly. And here we go. So here we go. 4 lights, 5 lights. The Austrian Grand Prix gets on the way eventually. Softy, a good start. Matt looks to have got a better one though. Owen also getting ahead. Jack already gaining positions on bar ahead. Softy does keep ahead though into turn 1. There's a bit of contact further back, but no major issues. We've got Softy leading Matt, Cliffy, Owen, Jack, Aiden in 5th, Dan in 6th, and Solanix and James already dropping blazers on the opening first few corners, and Softy already having to defend from Matt ahead. And Matt just about takes the lead almost. Softy pushes him wide though. He keeps the position. And now will Cliffy go through on his teammate? He does. Cliffy now into 2nd position ahead of his teammate. Will Matt come straight back at him? A frantic start to this race, Johners.
Yeah, absolutely. There was quite a bit of carnage. Well, not carnage, but definite contact in the mid-pack. I saw the Sauber, I believe, of Aiden getting caught up as well, the championship leader, and there was some contact towards the back with Adam C. Josh and James O'Connor, which seen him drop down the order a fair bit. I wondered if Adam C. Josh might have jumped the start. There's damage for one of the Saubers. It looks like there's carnage.
What's going on? We're in space. We're in space, Johners.
It looked like
we're in space.
Oh dear.
Don't know what's going on.
I can tell you there has been contact between the Sauber of Bartu and the Renault of Jack Pearson. Aiden has had to come into the pits with heavy front wing damage. Jack is miles wide at the last corner, plummeting down the field. He's down to 10th as we come across the start line. As well, apparently Adam C. Josh is up to 2nd. I wonder if that's a bit of a timing glitch, because on my screen he's clearly down the back of the field, so that's going to correct itself now. Jack was down to 9th, which is now 8th as he fights alongside Bulletproof. The championship contender, they lock wheels, there's contact, there's heavy front wing damage to that Renault now. That's going to be a pit stop for Jack. But it's actually off into a spin as well. He's actually retired from the session, which is a disaster for him. I think that is, well, that's definitely the end of his race, which is terrible news for Bennett, who was looking like the man in form coming into this week's races, but that has gone horrendously wrong for him. The contact with Jack seems to have damaged his car to such an extent that he has had to call it a day, and there he goes, out the session. I can tell you, the big move on that, the first couple of laps here, is Bothidweller, who started down in 17th after an issue qualified, and already finds himself in 7th position, which is a superb beginning for him. He's on the ultra soft tyres, so he's gambled on making some early moves. I can tell you, he's now LMC Josh's name is glitching again. I can tell you that Bothidweller is P7 at the moment, and we have Jack Pearson also in the pit lane fixing that front wing damage, and better than Snipe and Jake are in as well, so it's been a bit crazy in the lower midfield early on in this race.
Well, Bothidweller, as you said, a fantastic start, 10 places gained, as has Josh, so those two really fighting through the field, bulletproof, out of this race. He won't score any points, a huge dent to his title hopes, but we need to see now Josh fighting Bothidweller for that position. Both of them charging their way up the field, getting very close between each other. Of course, Bothidweller, the only has driver here tonight. Josh unable to make it. His teammate, the SR Josh, not to be confused with the other 3 Joshes in this league. We do have a lot of Joshes, but at the moment it's Softy narrowly ahead of Cliffy with a couple of seconds back. And Dan and Paul also looking racy as we see Josh make a move on Bothidweller. Can't quite make it through there as we go back now to the Ferrari. Dan looking to get past Martin. Dan the man with a fantastic podium in Monaco, if you remember. Now looking to get ahead of Martin into P4 as he hunts a podium, and Matt has pitted from P3, Johnny's.
Yeah, that's quite an early stop. I'm wondering if he's planning a heavy undercut on the rest of the field. I can tell you, I am having a few desynchronization issues with LMC Josh, which had me believing he was down the back of the field. I think he must be fighting for P7, like you said, with Bothidweller. It doesn't come up on my screen. On my screen, he's only half around the circuit cruising, so it's definitely a decent issue there, which is putting me off. But I can tell you, Cliffy, very close to the tail of the soft cut in the middle sector. He's actually shaping up a move for the lead there. He's actually gone for it in this contact. I thought there might not have actually been contact, might have just got out of the way in time, but Softy holds on to the lead from Cliffy. That could be an incredible battle towards the end of the race, as there is a gaggle of cars fighting for the podium. We've got Martin currently in third ahead of Dan and Paul. 3 of the old guard of TXP, you could say. They got all in the league when I debuted all the way back in F1 2012. These 3 guys have experience, they are quick and they are clean, so this will be an incredible battle to watch as the race progresses. You can see Paul really on fire this season.
We're about to see a move at the front.
Great results. And we got it also, yep.
Softy just about holding on. Cliffy thought about it, held off for now. Cliffy has pace here. Last time he raced in TTB1 at Austria, he did take pole position, so he is one to watch. And already look at the straight line speed advantage he's got on Softy. He's going to go for the outside line. Softy will try and defend that inside, and he breaks later. Cliffy forced to go around the outside and off the circuit too. Cliffy is still fighting Softy. They're 5 seconds clear of Martin in third. So a huge advantage, but of course Matt, don't forget, has pitted and he is in clean air. So if this strategy is going to work for him, he could potentially jump these 2 if these 2 are going to continue scrapping for first and second.
Yeah, absolutely. It depends on the tyres. If he can make them last, I can tell you that his pit stop he has gone onto the super soft tyres, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge to get that all the way to the end of the race. Meanwhile, Paul has made a move on Dan the man. They are very close together on the track. Paul currently in what is P4, I believe.
And Dan's on the grass, and he's lost the back end, and he's off.
He's off.
He's into the gravel.
Disaster for the Ferrari. He's
Dan
just got a
man.
bit too wide coming into the corner, and the rear wheels have picked up the grass, and it spun his Ferrari around. That is terrible news for Dan. He was looking really good early on in this race. That's putting him down to what I believe might be 9th position now, or 10th. Decent for LMC Josh, who's causing a bit of issue for me on the road, so I do apologise if I am catching a few positions off there.
Cliffy, is this the chance he's been waiting for? Up the inside, this time he'll break later and force Softy wide, but he gets the corner spot on. And Softy, I'm not sure he can fight back from that. Cliffy with a fantastic move to take the lead of the race. But Softy does have the speed here. Does he have DRS? I'm not sure how it works here, but Softy will look for the inside. Cliffy saying, no, you can't have that. And Cliffy holds on to the lead for now. This is fantastic scrap at the front. The 2 of them fighting for the lead here. 4 seconds clear of Martin in third. Cliffy, great to have him back, putting up a fantastic fight for Softy. Aiden will be hoping Cliffy can get the job done, because Dan in 12th at the moment. It's going to be just 1 point for Aiden, and at the moment 18 for Softy, which would put Aiden into the championship lead, Johners.
Yeah, indeed. I can tell you, meanwhile, while these two are battling ferociously, Matt has set the fastest lap of the race. And, well, the clear air he had is gone now as he's come up to the back of Dan as Softy comes into the pit lane. So he's going for an undercut on Cliffy, which will be fascinating to see. Meanwhile, Martin is holding firm in third position ahead of Paul in fourth. And I think he... oh, God. Well, it's now second and third, of course, for Martin and Paul, and I'm afraid I am having serious issues trying to see Josh's disconnection desync. It's making my leaderboard go mental. But
I can tell you,
as Don can tell you,
LMC Josh is in fourth place at the moment. He's about 4 seconds back from Paul and about 2 seconds clear of going, so in a bit of his own at the moment. So not sure why you're seeing issues there, Jonas, but hopefully they fix themselves as Josh in fourth place. But Matt then is crucially ahead. Where's Cliffy come out? Oh, sorry, it's Softy that pitted. Softy crucially ahead of Matt, and quite comfortably too, by about 7 seconds. Matt himself looking to get racy with Dan the Man, so we should see Cliffy maybe pit this lap. And do you think he'll come out behind Softy? Is the undercut really strong here?
I can't really. It's an interesting one with Austria. In the previous seasons, the softer tyres wear out very, very quickly around that 5 lap 6, and the undercut can work a treat if you time it right.
Dan the Man's lost it again.
Oh no!
Dan the Man not having a great race. As Cliffy and Ron do indeed pit, and Paul takes the lead.
Yeah, Paul in the lead for Sauber. Then he's going to be pleased with that. Happy to be back at the front. I can tell. I am wondering if Matt may have had some early wing damage that we didn't see, which meant that he had a longer stop. And I can tell you now, Cliffy coming at the pit lane, they're going to be side by side with Softy. I think Softy's got the run, and here we are down the run towards what is technically turn 3, but what I always thought was turn 2. Cliffy getting into the slipstream of Softy there, trying to go up the inside. Softy blocks it off, makes the move, takes his corner, and keeps the race, what will be a net race lead. Although DRS on the Williams now will mean Cliffy can close up again. There's a couple of cars in front as well yet to pit. That will be Lane and Goings, and Cliffy having a look, but deciding against it this time. His tyres will be a little bit fresher though, and that could come to his favour towards the end of the race. Although for now, we can see only, well, I think it's only Paul out the main front runners that start on the ultra softs that's yet to pit. Although that is the change now. He gets a little bit sideways coming into the pit lane now. He's pushing hard to get that in. He's pushed a bit too hard. That's a 5-second stop there, currently spinning the pit lane, which is a disaster for him. That will be added to his race time as Goings now takes a lead, as Lane also comes into the pit. So Goings, he's had some pace this season. It's looked very good in some of the test races in the early rounds. It's not gone away, I would say, although he would be hoping to be a bit higher up at a TTP2 promotion, of course, from last season. And all 3 TTP2 guys that came up have been doing a great job this season. In fact, one even leads a championship. But here we are then, Softy on the back of Goings already. He's going to go for the inside. Goings doesn't look like he's going to give too much of a fight as he goes down that inside, takes back what is the race lead, and crucially, Cliffy could not make it past as well. So Cliffy's going to be held up behind the Red Bull for a little while at least, and that's crucial for Softy. This is the time of the race where he needs to really push hard and make some progress. And I can tell you, I believe Matt may have had a spin or an incident as he is down in P9, and I think he's got no front wing, and that is the case. That Williams is missing his front wing. That's a disaster for him. It looked like he might have been on for a podium at the early stages of the race, but now that has gone away as he's plummeting down the field, down to what is, well, I believe, the 10th position right now.
Well, Cliffy has cleared Goings, so I'll be thankful of that. He's now 1.5 back from Softy as we reach the halfway point of this race. Matt, as you said, dropped now down to 10th position, so not the race he's been looking for. It's been a tricky start to his season. But now, elsewhere on track, we've got Josh and Bothy Dweller once again right behind each other. 4/10 the difference now. Josh behind Bothy Dweller. These two both having started on the back row of the grid. Now into 6th and 7th, and it's looking to be Josh who's looking to go ahead of Bothy Dweller, who breaks very late, goes wide. And Josh through into the position. He'll take it off Bothy Dweller. Thank you for that. Into P6, Johners.
Yeah, you could see the Haas just taking the brake, hitting the brakes far too late there. Off he went, down the position he goes, and that's going to cost him quite a bit of time now to get the tyres back into the right state to mount the challenge to retake the position. Meanwhile, I could tell you Goings is, well, I was saying he was catching, obviously he's yet to pit, but he's still going around in 3rd. We've got Martin about 8 seconds behind Cliffy in what is a net third, with Paul on fresher tyres just behind.
Dan and Owen fighting for track position, 11th and 12th, 2 tenths between them. Dan has got ahead of Owen, so fighting his way back through the field. Of course, both these drivers had good qualifying sessions, but both find themselves back in 11th and 12th. A few drivers, I think everyone's pitted now, John. Is that correct?
I believe that is the case, yes, with the exception of Goings, although I do believe he might just be in the pit lane now. Oh no, he's still out there. I correct myself there, as
Dan's got back ahead of Owen, sorry, a bit of a lag there on my screen. But Dan now is, I think he's looking behind Owen again.
Owen's completely off the track and back on again. I think the PSN issue tonight caused a bit of issue. Causing quite a lot of trouble for us trying to compensate on this race. It's interesting to see why Owen is so far down. I think he must have got caught up in either a bad start or a little minor incident that's really cost him, because he did start in P3 and now he's struggling to beat the top 10, which would be hugely disappointing for him. As meanwhile, Cliffy is trying to close the gap to Softy. It's just maintained at around 1.2, 1.3 seconds. But that is the closest fight on the track, aside from the Dan and Owen battle, as well as Jack and Jake in 12th and 13th. Obviously Jack early hitting with heavy damage on the front wing, alongside, I believe it was the Soundwood Bartlood, Aiden, championship leader, who's recovered well to 8th position. I believe he might just take 7th here as Goings comes out the pits behind him. But I think Aiden will be a bit disappointed to have got into some early drama with the teammate of his championship rival. So make of that what you will, conspiracy theorists. But Aiden has recovered well. He's got back to 7th and started 5th, so he'd be alright with that. He'd be a bit disappointing to be losing ground in the championship, as Matt now sets the fastest lap of the race again. His race really hasn't turned out as well as he would have hoped. Down in, well, I say down in 15th, 16th place. He's now actually quit the session, so that looks like that's him done for this Grand Prix. As Softy starts lap 13, it could be still just a second and a bit behind, but crucially not in the DRS zone.
Well, we saw then James with a fantastic move, Goings a fantastic move on James to take P8 on the fresher tyres. Owen I want to talk about for a moment, down in 12th, Owen's had 2 TGP2 titles, Johners. He's even won TGP Cars, which is our league on the Project Cars League. But for some reason, he's never won a race in TGP1. Why do you think that is? He's really good on racing games, clearly, but he's never been able to put it together in TGP1, John.
I think sometimes people just have a better preference for other games. I mean, Owen has had a few second places before, and he's always ruled a race at Silverstone back on F1 2014 where he was clearly the fastest guy, but got caught up in a bit of an incident at the start and ended up in 3rd. And in fact, that incident actually cost me a perfect season of podium finishes, as I finished 4th that race, having spun off the first corner in the same incident. So, I mean, it's been there before, but it's just never quite paid off. Of course, he did cross the line first just a couple of seasons ago in Japan, where he crossed the line comfortably clear at 2nd place, but due to penalties, promptly finished down in 3rd. And that day, that happened to be a race that we ended up 1-2, although, annoyingly for me, it happened to be you that was on the top step of the podium, but it is what it is, as Softy now just passes the ghost car of Matt, and has pulled out a little bit more over Cliffy. It looks to be stagnating around a 2.5 seconds now, which is good news for Softy. He's managing the gap very well. Meanwhile, there's not major battles going on in the field, although we do have Goings now having a look at the back of Aiden for position. So this could be one to watch. Goings on fresher tyres, Aiden on the old super softs that he's had since the early laps of the race. Goings having a look around the outside, which would be very interesting to do. Can he put it, if he can put it off? He runs a bit wide though, and that's not the case.
Well, Aiden down in 7th position. As things stand, he's about to be 6 points behind Softy in the championship. That could become 8 here if Goings can get through. Goings can really race on those fresher tyres. And he goes through. Aiden can't really do much about it, to be honest. Much faster speed from the Red Bull driver, and Aiden now down in 8th will look to defend from James, who himself is looking racy on those set of tyres. Can James, on the softs though, I believe they are. So not quite the faster rubber that we're seeing Aiden and Goings on, but maybe this is a tactic. James, did he start on the hyper softs, did he, John? Sorry, the super softs?
James did begin on the super soft tyre, yes, so it looks like it's one of his preferred strategies to always run alternate ones, just to have that pace at the end where people drop it off on their tyres. James should be on the harder tyre, but still be relatively fresh, which will allow him to just have that bit more grip and to come back strong towards the end, having been passed by 3 cars earlier on.
Round the outside of Goings, the two of them getting very racy. I thought when Goings went through, that would have been it for Aiden, but he's managed to find a little bit more pace. This is the battle to watch at the moment. Goings just about hanging on to that 7th position. Aiden needs these points, but at the same time can't afford to risk losing them all with an incident. Will he go up the inside here? He will. He breaks late. Goings turns in a little early, though, a little naughty from Goings. And the Rebel driver just about stays ahead. Aiden will not like that. What do you make of that, Johners? Has Cliffy just come from the race?
Big news. Cliffy's out the race. Yes, that is huge news. Has Cliffy just got it wrong coming up the last corner, I wonder?
There he is at the final corner.
He's actually parked up right on the outside at the last corner as Martin now takes 2nd position in the Force India, pull up to 3rd. I wonder what's happened there. Has he got it wrong and just skidded across into the wall, I wonder? It's possible. The curbs can spit you out if you're not careful. But that's a huge disaster for Cliffy on his return to TGP.
Well, it looked pretty easy in 2nd position as James now takes the place of Aiden. So Aiden's back down to 8th anyway. Cliffy then, huge drama here, bidding it. He was only a second and a half behind Softy. He was closing in, so maybe pushing a little too hard. With 2 laps to go now, Softy can start to breathe. He's got a 30-second gap clear of Martin, who fantastic 2nd position for Martin. What a result that is. I think that'll be the result of his season. But Josh is now just 2 tenths clear of Bothidwell. These two are still racing. Now for 4th and 5th. Remember, they started 17th and 18th on the grid. Now work them ways back up to 4th and 5th. Absolutely fantastic drives for both these drivers. And Jonas, who's your money on, Josh or Bothie?
I'll have to say, because the issue with Josh, I don't actually see him on my screen, which is a real pain. Although thankfully you won't be seeing what I'm seeing on the stream, so that's good for you guys at home. I'd have to say though, I've noticed throughout the race, Bothie has been saving fuel a little bit, so I just wonder if he's been a bit marginal on the power throughout the race and now has to back it off a bit. So, that said, Sir Josh is also possibly on a similar strategy, so it could be that both guys have been starting the race a little bit under field just to get a little bit of pace advantage early on. Maybe that's really helped him get up the field. Just on the basis of the fact that I can see him on my screen correctly, I'll go with Bothwell for this one, although no offense to Sir Josh, he's driven a superb race today, even if, unfortunately for me, I haven't been able to see it for the most part because of my desync issues. Although, it's quite a performance of both to be 12.
Well, Jake and Jack, P11 and 12. They were side by side. Jake with a late move to defend the inside. Jack was forced to lift off, but he's now got ahead of Jake. Will Jake come back at him? Chooses not to, but Jack runs wide and Jake goes back through again into the position. Can Jack have faster speed though? He still managed to get ahead, but of course Jake now, will he have DRS? This is DRS zone, John? Is this the DRS zone?
Yep, DRS open on that McLaren. He's going around the outside into this corner with Jack Cutler on the inside. A little lock up for the McLaren, runs a bit wide, doesn't quite get the cut back, and Jack takes or maintains P10 as now we are onto the final lap of the race with race leader Sofcop. He's had a very well controlled race, managed to withstand the pressure from Cliffy, keep with him when they were fighting for position and overtaking each other.
Oh, Josh and James.
Oh my goodness, Softy spun it into the wall on the last lap of the race.
What? So he missed it. Softy spun on the last lap.
It's got heavy damage. He's very lucky to be so far ahead, but I can tell you he's lost it. I don't know if he's lost it behind a ghost car there, but he's actually just spun into the wall. He has got front wing damage. He will be okay to continue and get to the end though, which is good news for him, as Martin is very quickly catching him up, but there'll be no time to catch him fully as the gap's gone from about 15 seconds to 9. But Softy will round the last corner and, well, by the skin of his teeth and his best efforts to throw it away, it'll be the Sofcop to win again for Renault this season, and that's 25 championship points that have been well earned and very nearly thrown away. Martin will be delighted to cross the line here in second ahead of Paul as they both take the line now. And, well, according to my screen, Bothidwell is now 4th.
Josh is 4th actually.
Josh is taken 4th.
Yeah.
Bothidwell in 5th. Which I wonder if there's someone got down the field in the last few laps, because I thought they were fighting for 6th and 7th, 5th and 6th, but it's
Jake and Jack again fighting in the final few corners. They're still side by side. Jack with the inside for now, but Jake will break a little earlier, and there you go. Can he got the inside? A late lunge. Up he goes. The two of them side by side coming to the final corner. Jack's from wide.
There's a lane behind him too.
Who's going to get the line to the finish? Who is it?
It's Jake.
It's Jake.
The narrowest of margins due to Jack's penalties for corner cutting. So Jake takes 11th, ahead of Sir Lane in 12th, Jack in 13th. That's a very disappointing race for him. It looked promising after qualifying, but down the order he goes. And very interesting race there. Some interesting battles. Very big drama towards the end, with the top two both spinning off in separate incidents. And Softy very lucky not to end his race on the last lap in an embarrassing way. But he survived and takes victory here for Renault at the Austrian Grand Prix. Interesting spots with eye time now. I have no idea where they are, but there we are with the champagne then. That's Softy, Martin and Paul. First, second and third. All three will be very happy with their results today.
Wow, what a race. A bit of a scruffy start, but drama throughout the field. Great battles as well. And it was Softy who just about hung on to the race win. A late scare. We missed that from our cameras. Probably a good thing. If he had crashed out, that would have not been great. In fact, Paul has a 5-second time penalty, of course, for the corner cut. But he was so far ahead of Josh, I believe he will still keep third. So there's your results. Josh, do you want to run us down?
Yeah, there we go. Then Softy takes the win from pole position. It looked comfortable in the end for 8 seconds, but it was anything but with battles with Cliffy and his own battle with the wall in the last lap. Martin takes a superb second place with 7th from the grid ahead of Paul, who started 9th and finished on the podium. Then we have the brilliant run from LMC Josh and Boffy Joella, 4th and 5th from the back of the grid, with James and Going starting 13th and 14th, finishing 6th and 7th ahead of Bart Dude in 8th. Dan the Man in 9th, Owen 10th, a disappointing result for him. Jake down at 11th ahead of Selene and Jack Pearson, the last finisher.
Wow, well there you go, a fantastic race there. Aidan Griffin's down in 8th position, championship leader remember, loses 20 points to his rival Softy, which means Softy now leads by 7 points. Well, Aidan thought Austria was a good race. He thought Britain he was going to struggle, so if that's the way he felt, then unfortunately it could only get worse maybe for Aidan. Johners, what do you make of that? Softy, our new championship leader. Do you think he can go on and win it now?
Honestly, I think going on previous form and previous seasons, you expect Softy to be the favourite now and to take the championship by the scruff of the neck. But it's been a bit of a weird one for him. Again, in Austria, it shows just the little mistakes are creeping in that he's not used to doing. We're not used to seeing him do, but I do believe he is the firm favourite now. Aidan has been superb so far this season as well in the Sauber since his promotion to TGP2. I would not have expected him to be challenging for the championship straight away, but here we are. But it will be bitterly disappointing for his result. That's probably put his chances on the back burner a bit. It could be a straight shootout between Softy and Aidan, although I have to say, it's surprising because before the season started, I would have put my money on VSR Josh, but he's just missed so many weeks now with other commitments and issues with his PSN that Softy has been left with somewhat of an open goal now, which he will surely be able to take and take I believe, a third TGP1 title to go alongside his TGP Cars title. And I think he'd be the first ever guy to hold both at the same time.
I believe so, yes. Well, in fact, we spoke to Aidan before today. Of course, he's been giving us his thoughts throughout the season, and this is what Aidan had to say a little earlier.
Yeah, last race week was massive for Sauber, to get the podium in Canada and France and the race win on the other side of the garage, delighted. But going into this weekend, I haven't really done much simulator work, so I'm not quite sure how quick I'll be. But Austria, I have some faith that we can maybe get on the front row. It's going to have to nail the lap though. Silverstone, hopefully on the other side of the garage they can deliver at that circuit, because Silverstone isn't a strong one for myself. But yeah, just looking forward to tonight and making sure that Sauber can take home maximum points as possible and extend lead in the Constructors and hopefully the Drivers' Championship.
Well, Aidan then was looking forward to Austria, hoping for a front row start. Maybe he was caught out by the rain, because in the end he qualified much further down the field and in the end came home in 8th. He'll be looking for a quick response here at the British Grand Prix. And Johners, what do you make of Cliffy? I think Cliffy had a great first race back in TGP1 before. Do you think he can go on and win Britain? I think it's going to be closer between him, Softy, and maybe we can see James back up there. Normie perform as well here.
Yes, indeed. Owen's always gone well in the past as well, so he will be one to watch out for. But Cliffy, on his return, has driven superbly throughout qualifying and the race. It's a shame his race ended where it did, having been right behind the race leader. But he'll be looking to go and get to the line, get to the end this time, and hopefully win the race. I believe he's won before in TGP1.
I
And
believe
he
so.
will definitely be looking to add to that tally. I don't believe he's ever done a full season, but he's definitely got the promise there that if he ever got the chance to run a full season, he could definitely be a title favourite if it all goes his way. Austria didn't quite go for him, and I'm pretty sure he'd be bouncing back strong in Silverstone here for the British Grand Prix.
Well then, so we are going now to the British Grand Prix, the 10th round of the season. And I just want to give a shout out to some of the drivers who have performed well here in the past. Ben Alesi, 3-time champion, has won here 6 times in total, which is the most of any previous driver. And Sebi Horton won every race here during the F1 2012 game cycle, all 4 races. So he also performed well. And in recent times, it has been Softy and James who have taken the spoils. Phil also performed well here, unable to make tonight. Good luck to him in his show week. But now the driver's preparing to go racing for the 10th time here at the British Grand Prix. Jonas, do you think the rain's going to be a factor here?
Potentially it could. Britain, being Britain, always either is blazing the sunshine one day and torrentially raining the next. So it'd be interesting to see what the weather plays here. It could throw up a major surprise if it does turn out to be a wet one in either qualifying or the race. We won't find out until the session begins, sadly. I wish on spectator mode we could get a weather guide. That would really help us and the viewers at home know what's coming. But it does add to the intrigue a bit when you just see that sudden sprinkle of rain begin to fall without any idea that it was about to happen.
Indeed. So the tyres here are the softs, medium and hards. The only track to run the hard tyres. And 18 turns, 13 laps, a 5.9 kilometre circuit. So one of the longer tracks. And it's a sunny day here for qualifying. So the championship standings, I believe now Softy takes the lead ahead of Aiden. Bulletproof failing to score in that recent race, so he will not have picked up any points in his charge for the title, which I believe will have put 3rd place in the championship. Might now well be James, who didn't have a great race but did manage to come home and take 6th position in the end, starting from much further down the grid. So in fact, probably a good racer. I'll take that back. 8 points for his title hopes. Probably not going to go for the title this season, but he'll be looking for a top 5 finish. And Owen already, Johners, out of the session.
Yeah, that's a disaster. That might be the PSN issues yet again happening. Hopefully we can get it back in, though. It is just the beginning of the 18 minutes of qualifying. Of course, up from 12 minutes from F1 2017 as the cars make their way out into the track now. A hive of activity down the pit lane, numerous cars going out early. I can tell you that the top 2 in the championship are the only 2 so far not to be on the soft tyre. Aiden and Softy both on medium tyres as they begin their outlap. Softy being the first car on track, Jake just behind, and then it looks like it actually looks like he's let Barkley through, so it'll be Aiden and Softy, the top 2 in the championship. That could be the first 2 to set laps as the outlaps all begin for the guys on the track. Very interesting to see the time differences between the tyres and how long the tyres can last. With the hard tyre being available here, it does obviously indicate that the tyre wear can be pretty high, although it does make me wonder with how the Pirelli tyres have been so far this season. Is it possible for someone maybe to hit early and go on the hard tyres and just make use of that spare track, that clear track on harder rubber that will not fade away like the soft tyres would? It could be a 3 or 4 lap undercut maybe from someone brave down the field to try that and maybe just surprise a few people by popping up ahead of them when they all come out the pits halfway through the race. As we can see the guys all on the circuit now, making their way round to the start line to begin their laps. Softy will be the first to cross the line on the medium tyres as well as he comes down towards the last 2 corners now, and will begin a lap up the historical Silverstone circuit.
Well, Softy, do you want to take us through a lap, John?
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to get these corners run, so I'm just going to go by numbers as we go through turn 1. Now, unlike in real life, you can't get DRS open around there as we come through turn 2, which is flat out down to this, the loop section. Turn 3, turn 4, very slow right and left, and then we come round here onto the Wellington Straight. DRS board open there as the DRS opens. Carry on with the run down towards the end of 61 now. Softy comes through sector 1 with a 27.4, which is pretty decent. It will be beaten as he's on the harder tyre, although it might just be beaten by himself later on anyway. As we come round onto the old pit straight, this used to be where the cars would start the race before 2011. As we come towards the world famous Cops corner, Softy, a little lift on the throttle, takes to the limits of the track, doesn't exceed him as he goes to the famous Magadan Beckett section now. A fast right, then a left, and then another right as we come through Beckett's onto Chapel and down onto the hangout straight. DRS wide open as it comes across the line. I believe that was a 1 minute 3 point something through sector 2. The game doesn't ever share the sector 2 time, it's the pain. To come to Stowe, where Schumacher famously broke his leg in 1999. Hopefully none of that will be happening this weekend as we then come towards the last 2 corners now. Softy, very tidy. It might be a very quick one. Doesn't use too much of the curb on the exit. Comes around the last corner and sets a 127.1. That is rather impressive for that medium tyre. It'd be interesting to see what everyone else could do. We'll have a look at what Aiden does. I believe he'll be the next car across the line. I tell you what, he's actually backed off entirely. So there we are. Adamsey Josh does go quicker on the soft tyre, but only by a tenth. Martin goes third. Goings only up to fourth. We have Jake coming into the pit. That I believe Aiden decides to come into the pits as Bothy trying to take P3, just a couple of tenths off pole. Excuse me. Little hiccups there as Danderman now comes across the line and takes P6 for 128.1. He'll be looking to go quicker than that to get up the field. Better than Sniper and Selene are also on the circuit on their laps. Got better than Sniper coming on the last few corners now as he comes towards the line. But don't think he's going to challenge the front runners. It's going to be a 127.8. That puts him 5th of the 7 so far. As Selene is not really on a quick one, as I believe that was Paul McGuinness up to P4 in the Sauber. He'd be looking for another solid run. We've got red flag to sector 1. I think that might just be for some slow cars on that in-laps. Meanwhile, we're on board with James O'Connor, who is taking it rather steadily around the circuit at the moment. I say that, he's sector time sector 2, but up to time split was not that far off soft crop, so it may look quite slow, but it's very controlled and actually rather quick as he now comes into the pit lane. So it looks like he might have just been giving the tyres a little run just to see what the performance is before he does his usual strategy. As the first runs come to a bit of an early end there. Only half the field have actually gone out and done lap times, most of them just learning, just having a feel for the track conditions and coming back to the pits. As Selene now coming towards the end of his lap, he's not going to be troubling in the front runners with this one. It looks like just a bank lap just to get one on the board as he comes around the last corner and sets a 128.7. It is the slowest time so far. It will be improving as Dan the Man improves in time but not position. 127.894 keeps him in 8th place, but crucially it looked like he was able to do 2 laps there with maximum ERS, which is interesting. It'll be one maybe to look out for later. Maybe some of the guys will realise that and try and do 2 laps just to get that little bit more pace and to try and go for a longer last run. I do expect the tyres to be disposed of quite quickly in the race for either the medium or the hard tyre. I do expect 1 or 2 maybe going on the hard tyre early on as a strategy to just get that clear air, get the free track and just do the undercut, gain a few places. As yellow flags are out in sector 3 now, I don't believe it's anyone in any trouble. I think it's just a slow move from Sauber on an in-lap.
Well, Josh there with the quickest time so far, very close between the front 3. Josh ahead of Softy and Bothy Dweller, 2 tenths between the 3 of them. Of course, Bothy Dweller and Josh having that almighty scrap. In the last race that we see, Sir Solenex has binned it down the straight. You can see in the background there already, that's the end of his qualifying. Normally performs quite well here. He won here in TGP2 last season, getting his first win in TGP with a fantastic drive, dominating the race. As we see now, I think Barduda preparing to start his lap now. Just getting out of the way of traffic behind, but Dan the Man was coming into the pit lane. So Aiden now about to start his lap time, and he needs a really good time because currently down in 13th. He's lost the championship lead. He needs to keep up the race with Softy, who currently is second, a 10th off. Can Aiden upset the front 3? What do you think, John?
Aiden is going to need to upset the top 3 if he wants any chance of this championship. It's Obviously still very close, of course, but Aiden will need to bounce back from some poor results very quickly as he starts his lap. As the desync issue with NFC Josh does still seem to be happening, I'm afraid. The pole man up at the moment with the 127.0. Aiden sits at 27.3 for sector 1, which I think is very similar to what Softy set. So this lap looks to be in the ballpark so far as Jake just gets out of the way there in the McLaren, which is good of him. Looked like he could have potentially held Aiden up, but realised in time and moved aside. As Aiden runs up towards Cops now. Let's see how he takes it compared to Softy. He does not lift at all. He takes that fairly flat. Softy did lift off a bit just to maybe respect the track limits a bit. Aiden pushing the car to its limits though. Keeps it flat through there and into Marcus Beckett. This looks like a good run so far for him. I think he'd be very happy with how this one's going. It's a few tenths up. Perhaps on where Softy is. We can't give you a definitive one on that due to the nature of the game with the sector times of sector 2, as Aiden committed clean on the limits, it has to be said, but doing a good lap here. Coming towards the end now as he comes to the double apex last corner, as he now comes across. Does he go pole? He does not. He goes P4. Very close to what Softy and Boffy would have done, and just in between Goings and Paul. The second to sixth, just over a tenth apart there, so it's mightily close between the guys there. Although Softcop did set his time on the slower tyre, so do expect the 126s to be achievable in this session. We still get to see anything from Cliffy and James and Owen, who I hope has got back in. Jake is looking like he's on a lap now as well. He can normally throw a solid lap in and be near the sharp end.
It's easy to forget that Jake, a former champion, down in 13th at the moment, really struggling on this game. As Cliffy also yet to set a lap time. James down in 15th, but of course we've come to expect that he normally starts towards the back. Anyway, Josh currently a 10th clear of Softy. Just
I can tell
tenths.
you, Jake is off at Cops. The back end has snapped around on Jake at Cops. He's gone off into the wall on the exit in the gravel trap. He's very lucky that hasn't ended his session. I'm actually wondering if he even picked up any damage there. It looked like he got the car slowed down enough to the exit as he was going backwards through the gravel. There's a couple of cars just flying laps now. There's a Renault and Mercedes. Jake has got out of the way of him. He's spun off again. It looks like he's got away with no damage, which is incredible stuff by him there to manage to get the car slowed down enough to avoid any serious damages. And MC Josh improves on his pole time by 3 tenths. That is now winning the 126 to 126.705. That is going to be a solid lap. Although, would it be enough for pole? Because of course Softy yet to go on the medium tyre. Sorry, it's yet to go on the soft tyre. He did his lap on the medium tyre, as well as Aiden ended up on the soft tyre in the end. He's in 4th, and Cliffy is on track now.
He's backed out of his lap. He was on a lap, but he's backed off, so he's going to either come into the pits or start again on the medium tyres, I think, so not on the soft. So if you drivers going for this strategy, I don't know if Cliffy's just out there to maybe attempt the tyres, but it looks like he is going to go for one. There's only 6 minutes left and he's yet to set a lap time. So let's see if he dives into the pit lane for some new tyres. In fact, no, he's going to go for another lap, so he'll recharge the Kers and he will go again. But Softy, 4 tenths back. Will he respond, John, as he has to? Surely.
Yeah, he definitely will respond. He's yet to do that lap on the softer compound. Although, potentially, with the pace advantage he seems to have over most of the field, he could probably go on a medium tyre, did an inverse strategy, and still be right at the sharp end of the grid at the start. Although, of course, as we saw like in Formula 1 in Austin, having a softer tyre at the start is crucial at times, as you just get that superior grip and get the better traction off the line and can gain a position or two, as you saw how crucial it was in Kimi Raikkonen's brilliant victory at the Circuit of the Americas just a couple of weeks ago. As Cliffy looks to be on a lap now on the medium tyres. He has it all cranked up to maximum as he makes his way up towards Cops now. Cops is just such a brilliant corner. You could just throw it in. The cars are so good aerodynamic now, so advanced that the car will just go with it. In the past it was a real challenge to get the corner right. Now not so much, but the ability to just throw the car in and just take it flat out is just incredible to see, as Paul McGuinness is an early retiree from the session in 6th position.
So Paul in 6th. Well, slightly higher than that. What were you saying, John? Sorry?
I was just wondering if Cliffy just got held up by a Red Bull just at the end of the hangar straight. I don't believe he did. I think the Red Bull did get out of the way. He went off the track. As Cliffy comes around the last corner now. You know what? This is going to be a very close run thing. He's done at 1:27.083. That's putting P2 on the medium tyre. So Softy as well now has just gone out onto track on the soft tyre. So that is a fantastic lap by Cliffy to be within 4 tenths of pole on the slower tyre. That is very impressive by the returnee, and he will be very happy with that. And I think he's got time to get back in and go for a soft tyre run as well, so there could be more to come from that Williams.
Wow, a fantastic lap from Cliffy. 3/10 off on the slower tyres, but of course if he starts second it's going to be fantastic for the race, because he would be able to run a little longer into the race as his rivals and then be on the faster tyres in the closing stages. So Softy, let's see what he can do. Now on a lap time, this is his second lap of the session. Currently 4 tenths is the gap between him and Josh at the front. Josh only scored 15 points so far this season. So Josh, with a first or second here in this race, would almost double, he would double his points tally so far. So let's see if he can get off the line well, if he's going to start towards the front. Let's see if Softy and Bothidwell, who are now both on laps, can knock Josh off the top. It would be a first ever pole position for him. Softy's had quite a lot of them. I think he's had 32 in total. I won't be surprised to see him at the top, but here we go. Softy on his lap time. Can he claw back that 4 tenths? How's sector 1 looking, John?
Sector 1 was a 27.4. It's nearly 2 tenths off what Bothidwell did though, so keep an eye on Bothidwell in the hash there. He's going to be first across the line at least. As Softy goes into the hangar straight now, he's really giving it all. The fuel indicator is flashing. He's really let the car run light to get this lap across. As Bothidwell comes across the line now, does a 27.015, so he does improve by 2 tenths, but he does not gain this, does not get pole. He does get onto the front row though, as Softy now comes around the last corner. This is going to be a very good lap, I think, and there we go, a 26.1. That is a brilliant lap, 6 tenths clear of LMC Josh. That is almighty by the Renault, as he now calls it a day. He feels like his job is done. It'll be worth seeing what Cliffy can do, who was slightly quicker out the two of them when they were both on the medium tyre. So this could be a very close run thing between them both.
Wow, Softy setting the pace, and don't forget, Softy needs just one more race win to go into the top 5 all-time winners list. He won last time out in Austria. Can he make it back-to-back race wins, which is a feat not seen in TG1 for quite a while. I think it was 30 races without a back-to-back winner before Josh did it in the second week of this season. But a fantastic lap from Softy. I don't think that's going to be beaten unless maybe Cliffy goes out on the soft tyres himself. He's in the pit, so let's see what tyres he goes out on. Bothidwell on the soft, but I believe is not on a lap time. I think he may be coming back into the pits. This would be a second lap on these tyres if he is on a hot lap. But surely he'll come into the pits.
Williams is in the pit lane. He's coming out onto track now on the soft tyres. He has the force injury of Martin behind in 8th. I can tell you, Owen has retired from the session, unfortunately. He looked like he had an incident in Maggots and Beckett and lost his front wing. I'm wondering if he might have been a bit caught out with another car or something, perhaps. I only saw the aftermath of the force injury going off. And that is a shame for Owen, because he is very strong here. And it seems that he will only start in 13th at best now. Jake also out the session down in 14th. James is on an out lap now in 15th, who's yet to do a lap time. As Softy obviously is retired, we've got IMC Josh on an out lap. Bothidwell is trying to get back out quickly as possible. I don't think he's going to do it in time. And there we go. That's your answer. He's retired from the session. Cliffy is on an out lap. He will get round in time. He's got Martin in front, who's also on an out lap. Cliffy did let Martin go through. I'm wondering if Martin's just trying to let him back through because he wants a little toe. Doesn't seem to be the case though. Aiden, I can tell you, as well as Goings run laps. Aiden was slightly up on Goings in the first sector. Goings is at the end of his lap though. It's all sideways in the second last corner. He's going to come across the line now. He does not improve. He's 2 tenths off his best. It's 27.4. He stays in P6, and that might be him done. Although going by his ERS levels, he is continuing on, as he is still in 6th, ever so slightly off Aiden, who is still on a lap, I can tell you, and he looks to be on a very good one as well. Cliffy at the end of sector 3 now. He's about to start his final lap. He comes to the second to last corner, just a few seconds ahead of Aiden, who is now coming round Stowe down towards the last few corners, and he has Martin, I can tell you, is behind Cliffy. So Martin's got to try and get that sneaky little toe. Aiden coming across the line now. This could be a very impressive lap as well. He goes B3. That will do for him. I think he'll be pleased with that one after Austria. and he now looks to call it an end to his session. He's off at turn 1. Cliffy now begins his lap though. We've got Dan the Man on the lap as well. It looks like he's backed off though. Or the timing screen was wrong. Goings looks to have continued even with the extra lap, and I can tell you it was 2 tenths up in the middle sector, so he's looking good to potentially have 4th position here if he keeps us to the line. He could jump. Dan, Cliffy and Buffy Trent is very wide there on the exit of Stowe. That could be a bit of trouble later for him. Although this time he comes to the last 2 corners. Will he be sideways on the exit again? No. He's just about got that right as he comes across the line now, and he takes that P4. A 126.9. He takes P4 by a 10th from Buffy Dreader. Although Dan the Man and Cliffy are on laps, I can tell you Dan the Man is actually not going to improve at all. He is on his way in. Cliffy though is the one to watch towards the end of this session. We have Martin and Jack as well. Jack is going to come across the line and take P6, which is a good improvement for him after the nightmare of Austria. Next to see though across the line will be Cliffy. He's round the second last corner now. He comes to the line. Is it going to be pole? No,
it's not.
It's 1.188 off. It's P2 though. He'll be pleased with that as Martin improves up to 8th ahead of Dan the Man. Last car to see now is James on the soft tyre. Comes across the line and there we go. He backs it off.
His classic, classic James O'Connor back off. We need to come up with a name for that because he does it very often now. He'll start lower than 10th, which means a fresh set of tyres for the race. Wow, 1/10 between the front 2, John, is incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be another fierce battle between the 2, just like in Austria. Hopefully this time both of them manage to get to the finish in one piece, and neither of them end up having any unfortunate incidents like we saw with both in that race. It's such a surprise to see that rally spin round to the last lap of the race. But there we are, Softy with yet another pole. This season is really starting to fall into his hands, it has to be said. Would you like to give the rundown there, Dom?
Indeed, so Softy 10th clear of Cliffy, Josh with a fantastic qualifying in 3rd, Aidan in 4th, so watch out for him at the start. Goings, Bothy, Jack, Martin, Dan and Paul complete the top 10. Sniper in 11th, James backing off, so ending 12th. Selene and Owen 13th and 14th. So this race, Jonas, I think it's going to be a almighty scrap between Cliffy and Softy for P1.
Yes, it's definitely likely to be that way. There's a near half-second gap between them 2 and the rest of the field. Although there's always the threat of rain at the British Grand Prix, and we'll see in a moment if that is the case again as we prepare for the start of the race.
Well, dry clouds. It's going to be a dry race. It's going to be a dry race then. So looking forward to this one to see who can come out on top here at Silverstone. John, over to you.
Thank you, Dom. So the classic airfield of Silverstone provides another interesting battle in this TGP1 season as Softy and Cliffy renew their battle from Austria. It'll be interesting to see what Ada could do near the front of the grid, one of the championship contenders. It'll be fascinating to see what happens at the start. Silverstone does bring out some chaos now and again as we have light, 4 light, 5 light, and they're out and we are go, and it looks like a very slow start from the Williams there. Softy looks to have a superb one in the lead as he gets around turn 1. He's very clear ahead. We've got a Red Bull off in the background there as it looks like everyone else is relatively clean through. No, we've lost a number of cars. Lots of off of the gravel. Soft still leads though from Cliffy. Aidan in 3rd. Bottom to 4th. Jack Pearson running wide. Through a slide through the corner there in the loop. Dan, Paul and Jack. It looks like it's going to be Dan who comes out on top there as we come down the straight. The end of sector 1. Softy leads Cliffy from Barty, Boffy Dweller, Dan the Man, Paul, Jack, Martin, Goings in 9th, James up to 10th, Owen down up in to 11th. We've got Jake in 12th, Selene in 13th, Ben and Sniper 14th, and I will say Adam C. Josh again desync issue, so he might be completely elsewhere from where I've said, but Softy holds the lead from the beginning.
5 tenths clear of Cliffy. Crucial to get that start as Aidan getting very racy, Paul getting very racy behind Josh in 7th and 6th, and Owen, terrible start for him really. Normally runs well here. He's down in 15th, so not the best start for him, John.
Jake's off and he's out the race. He's off in the wall at the exit of Cops. Looks like he's got it wrong and running on the outside of Cops. got back onto the track, had a tank snapper, and in the wall he goes. A disastrous night for him, has concluded early. He'd be very disappointed with that one. As the leaders continue on to the end of the first lap here, Softy holds that 7 tenths over Cliffy. Aiden in third, Jake leads the session there. We've got Boffin in fourth, down the man in fifth. And Martin just going past Goings. I think Jack Pierce is coming to the pit lane already. He's got no front wing. I can tell you there was a number of cars off into the at turn 1. I saw a Red Bull go sideways, which I believe must have been better than Sniper or Goings potentially. I'm not too sure who it was. All I saw was a Red Bull very sideways, and that was it for him. He was going off sideways, and I looked back and there were a number of cars off, and the McLaren, a 4C0 Ferrari. It doesn't look like it's affected too many of them though. I thought James might have got caught up there, but he's still with the pack in 9th position. Owen is a little further off. I think he got involved. There was Sir Lane as well, and Bet the Sniper, it must have been. Jack picked up damage yet again early on, as Bet the Sniper now has a look down the inside on Sir Lane, but doesn't quite make the move stick. Sir Lane does run wide though. They are side by side coming on to the old pit straight. It looks like Bet the Sniper has got moved on now and is up to what is, I believe, 11th, possibly 12th position actually. We got yellow flags out in sector 1. That's probably for Adam C. Josh's decent car again, as well, on my speed, he's going through the pit lane wall. So that shows you the issue I'm having with that today. Softy, meanwhile, is trying to break that DRS. Not quite out of it yet, though. There's 9 tenths to gap between the front two. Aiden holding firm, sticking with them. So it could be a three-way fight, this one. It could be fascinating to see between the 3 fastest guys. We've got a migrating host issue. We've lost the soft cop. The race leader is out. He's disconnected. That is a disaster. Soft cop, who looked to be doing a double, he's out of the. He's left the session. That is terrible news for him, and that's really just opened it up to a straight fight between Cliffy and Aiden. That's fantastic for Aiden, who obviously just lost the championship lead and will now, as it stands, get it back. The Softy is going to plummet down the field unless he quickly reconnects. We've got Danaman up in 5th, which is a great start. I can tell you, my desync issues with Adam C. Josh has been fixed due to that disconnection. So Adam C. Josh, I can now tell you, is in 6th, ahead of Paul, who's having a run on him with DRS down the straight. They're fighting for 6th. It's going to very quickly be 5th for Softy's ghost car, and they're side by side. And it looks like Adam C. Josh has held the position, but Paul on the cutback, he's just giving him a little bump, running him a bit wide, but he's through. That's the Sauber up into 5th, and that's a good move by Paul McGuinness, as Jack is out of the session as well, so it's a double whammy there for Renault. What a disaster. And it's like the whole gaggle of cards going through cops there. Paul, Josh, Martin, Goings, all together on track. Martin a bit all over the place with lag. That will correct itself. James in 9th, just behind them. As Goings has got... Sorry, Goings got past Martin. We've got a car up ahead, which looked like it was Adam C. Josh, so I think Martin may have run wide. And it's all just kicked off here at this British Grand Prix. It's a PSN issue for the soft cop. I've just seen it pop up on my messages. The soft cop has had a PSN issue. He cannot get backside in. That is a disaster for him. And the 2 leaders are pitted. I can tell you, it is Cliffy and Barty in the pits together. This is going to be a battle between the teams in the pits. Rocky Dredder now leads to Dan and Paul. But this is the crucial stage of the race. Let's see what happens between the 2 pit stops. It's status quo. Cliffy stays out ahead. Both cars look to have gone onto the medium tyre, and I can confirm that is the case. Jack was on the hard tyre, but DNF'd on his outlap, so maybe he got the grip all wrong. There are no safety cars, no VSCs at the moment. It's all still green flags, despite 2 incidents early on in the race. Coffee Dredder is your race leader. Dan the man up in a superb 2nd. Ahead of Paul McGuinness, Adam C. Josh and Goings. Martin in 6th with James in 7th. James obviously on the alternate strategy. With how close these guys are, it's a good opportunity for him to gain some place and get a strong result. We have Owen down in 8th. Better Sniper in 9th, Sir Lane in 10th, then it's the soft cop obviously disconnected down in 11th. He's not going to be crucial for this race as he is now completely out of it by the sounds of it. Like he said, we've got Cliffy who will take P11 in due course, and Bartdude, the last runner at the moment, in 12th. That's how close it is between them all today. The first 2 in the pits from 1st to 2nd are now at the back of the field, but that will obviously change unless we get a sudden safety car or VSC. You never know with how this game has been at times. As Cliffy now passes soft cops, AI car, Martin comes into the pits as well as Dan the man. Dan the man has not sped into the pits, which is good news. And obviously Josh is also in as well. Then we got Martin. And this would be very interesting to see what they all do here. As Boffy Dweller continues to move from Paul and going. James up to fourth now ahead of Owen. I can tell you it is Dan the man out first on the mediums. Cliffy is going to come through now and he will take the position again. So Cliffy comes to be ahead of them all. Proctor comes out. Dan the man just reached the pit exit now, so he's going to be quite a little way off the two early stoppers. They are in their league of their own at the moment as it stands. Dan comes up, just punches off the zero car, which will obviously not give Dan any trouble. So Dan is a net third as it stands, and you see Josh in fourth ahead of Martin. And I gotta say, that was a very good start by Dan then and the Ferrari crew, because they seemed to come up miles ahead of Josh and Martin, and it looked like it was only a couple of seconds apart when they came in. So unless the Mercedes and Force India both had front-wing damage, Dan has pulled off a blinder at a stop, and he's in clear air as well, so that could be very good for him with the Ferrari.
Well, battle on the track at the moment is 6th and 7th. Sniper and Selene, of course, these two ahead of Cliffy and Bart, who are 8th and 9th, but a net 1st and 2nd once all the pit stops have been made. Selene performs really well here, starting on the medium tyres. In fact, Sniper ahead also on the same tyres. Was that the soft? Sorry, a bit of a mismatch there of screens as Selene goes ahead because Sniper dives into the pit lane for his stop of the race on lap 6. He'll now go to the end on the medium tyres. So Paul, Owen and Sniper all pitting this time round, which will elevate Aidan and Cliffy 3 places higher. But Boffy Dweller, Goings and James all staying out, and James getting very racy behind Goings, starting to close in as Cliffy sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:29.4. Really putting a marker down. Aidan just about hanging on behind the Mercedes driver. Cliffy looking good for a first win in about 2 years in his return, with Softy now down in 13th place and in the pit lane. Not sure if Softy's returned or not, but he's down in 13th and out of the points.
Yeah, I can tell you that Softy has not returned. We've got a battle on track for what is second place, and Owen's disqualified for blocking the pit lane. He's spun coming up the pit lane. It's disqualified then because he's stuck. That is a disaster for the Force India.
Well, I've never seen this before.
I've seen that before.
Owen spinning on pit exit, unable to turn around, has been disqualified because of it. And that means there's a pit block, surely. Will Owen's car goes on pit exit. Drivers who are yet to pit will be hoping so. Drivers not yet to pit are Dweller, Goings, James and Selene, as Owen now pulls out of the session.
Yeah, I can tell you that Softy's car did go through. It's Boffy Dweller comes to the pits from the lead. We've got Goings and James. Well, I was going to say they're fighting for second, no more. Goings in the pit. James O'Connor will lead the British Grand Prix as he comes across the line now. Unless, of course, Boffy Dweller gets there first. Where the pit exit is, and there we go. Boffy Dweller technically led that lap, but James is now your leader in the Ferrari up the British Grand Prix, with Boffy Dweller going to the pits. So Lane will now take second. Cliffy will be back up to third. Quite a bit of clear air. Aidan is trying to do his best to keep up, but just can't quite match the pace of Cliffy. He's 7/10 slower that lap, I can tell you, and the gap has gone up to 2.5 seconds, it looks like.
I think Aidan will be content with second place, the way that Softy's gone in this race. In fact, Jack DNFing has allowed Softy up a position. The same for Owen being disqualified, so Softy, not here, but still somehow finding his way back through the field. But Dan the man, normally when we go on board with him, usually sticks it in a wall. So let's go on board with Dan the man in the hope that this time he doesn't actually stick it in a wall. Dan the man with a bit of a mix up and down season, had podium in Monaco, great qualifying, great flashes of brilliance throughout the season, but at times, more so than the good moments, he has had the bad moments too and stuck it in the wall so many times. The front wing Bill, Ferrari John, oof. Don't want to know what that is.
It could be pretty extortionate by the end of this season, but it could be for most teams. Numerous incidents this season have brought on tiny bits of damage. So easy to break your front wing in this game because you just can't quite manage the judge the distance between your front wing and the car in front because of the halo. In previous games that halo wasn't there, so you can see where your front wing is. And I mean you can to an extent on the left hand side, but where the main bulk of the front wing is, the halo blocks it, so your judgment is just a little bit off. It breaks your wing and that really ruins your day. And so Lane comes to the pits from second place. James stays out and leads on and has just hit his personal best as well, so medium tyres going very well here on that 8 of the British Grand Prix.
It is a
Boffy
very...
I can tell you.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, Boffy Dweller, I can tell you, very, very good performance so far. It looked like he's managed to break clear of the cars he was in a battle with for the podium. and he is on for a podium as it stands. Although, that said, James, I believe, is around 21 seconds clear as Martin sets the fastest lap of the race. That's interesting by the Force India driver down in 9th. It's also worth pointing out, James being about 21 seconds clear on the undercut. There's a possibility that he could sneak a podium here if everything goes to plan. So keep an eye out for that towards the end of the race. He could come up just ahead of Paul or Dan. He'd be around that area. So it'd be interesting to see what he can do there. This lap could be the lap that he comes in as well. Lap 8 of 13. It does look like it's just growing up a little bit over the circuit. Not much. It's going to stay dry. But that might just cut a little bit into some of the hands of other drivers. Maybe the tyres drop off a little bit. You see there Dan getting a bit twitchy for cops. Keeps the speed up low. Keeps it out of trouble and carries on. Within DRS of Paul in 5th. Bottas continues on in 4th. He has closed in a little bit on James on this lap as James stays out. Sets another personal best though, so he's performing well there, the Ferrari driver, from what was originally 12th place on the grid.
It's a very slow pit lane here at Silverstone, but let's not forget a VSC or late safety car would downgrade that time spent in the pit lane. So James staying out for now, not losing any time as well to Cliffy. Cliffy staying around 13.8 behind James, so showing that there's still tyres left in them. And Aiden now 2.4, staying at the same pace behind Cliffy. And as you said, Dweller, is going to be a great fight between him and James for that final podium place. And James to get a podium from P12 on the grid would not be a bad result. I put up there with Bahrain, where of course he famously won, having started down from 13th on the grid. A fantastic final part of the race for him. Saw him cut through the field and pass Aiden on the final lap, take his first win of the season. And James, as like had the same with Dan, also up and down. So a season of misfortune for the Ferrari drivers, but at the moment James looking good for a potential podium. As Goings has been passed by Josh, I believe, the two of them side by side, the battle of the Joshes, getting very racy, almost touching, both on the medium tyres now, both having made their stops. Josh goes left, the other Josh goes right, getting very close, very tense between these two. Of course, former teammates now racing for different colours, and the two of them still side by side. Josh Goings side by side here, going through Maggots and Beckett's, and they make contact. Goings at the back of Josh. And Josh
going off backwards at high speed as well.
Dangerous stuff there.
Spun round. So the back onto the tarmac. A 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits to Josh, which I think is a bit of a joke. He's backwards having a spin, for heaven's sake. Goings. Oh, I don't think there was room there for the move. He should have backed it off. He had the DRS available at the next straight, but he decided to try and make a move, and it's just caused the contact, ruined Josh's race. Josh has retired from 11th position. He will be classified as 12th, obviously, with soft cut being a lap down, tootling round still. As James now comes to the pit, so you know what? He's nowhere near where I thought he would be. The pit stops so much slower than I was anticipating there. He's come out 13 seconds off. I genuinely thought he had a chance of coming out 4th or 5th there, but he's like 9 seconds down. I've really underestimated how long that pit lane is at Silverstone. That's actually quite a shame, because I thought James had a good chance for a podium, but as such, that's not going to be the case. He could get back to a top 6 though. There's only 5 seconds of going to 4 laps to go, and his tyres will be a lot quicker. Do you expect a DHL fastest lap for James O'Connor if he could get a clear air in the Ferrari? But meanwhile then, Cliffy continues to lead, 2.8 clear now of Aiden in second, who just looks like he can't quite keep up. He's 3 tenths down on this lap so far. Boffy to a superb third, and just he was getting pegged in a little bit by Paul in 4th, but he has maintained the gap now at around 2.5 seconds. Dan Man continues on in 5th, ahead of Goings, who could be in a bit of trouble for the incident with Adam C. Josh. We have Martin in 7th, James down in 8th, and then Sir Lane in 9th, better than sniper 10th, and Softy, who disconnected early on, bringing up the rear on 11th. As we come onto the penultimate lap but 1, 3 laps to go, lap 11 of 13. And Cliffy just pulling away now, 3.5 seconds clear. It's going, I hope not to jinx it, but it looks like it's going to be a brilliant victory for Cliffy on his return to the league after 2 years away. As
we have got reaction, from Owen. The moment where he spun coming out of the pit lane, he did simply just spin out the pit lane. and got stuck, and this is the moment that it happened.
Oh, he's spun in the pit lane.
Will receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the
Oh no, I've actually Austin Powers it. I Austin Powers it in the pit lane. Oh dear. I got disqualified for Austin Powers in it in the pit lane.
Well, there's your team radio from Owen. The moment that he lost it in the pit lane, getting stuck. Don't think I've ever seen that one before. That's got to be a contention for a moment of the year in the end of year awards. But with 2 laps to go now, Cliffy 5 seconds clear of Aiden, who is going to gain points on Softy. Unbelievably Softy. Not going to score many points in this race at all, with Cliffy still setting fastest laps out there. Absolutely flying. I thought James would be the one setting the times at the moment, but down in 8th, looking like he's going to get ahead of Martin anytime soon. Stuck behind the Force India driver, who's got 2 laps to cut his way through the field. Potentially he could get goings ahead of Martin, but apart from that, I think the rest are a little too far ahead as now James responds and sets the fastest lap on the soft tyres with a 1:28.8, and now can he make a move on Martin, the Force India for P7? Will he look for the inside or will he wait for the DRS? He's going to wait for now. Thinks better at that one, can't afford to risk a spin. Goings is only 2.4 seconds split ahead of these two, so can definitely be caught if James is quick and makes his move now. So he's got to get through here. He'll pull to the left. Martin will defend that right side, not going to fight it too hard. He knows James on quicker tyres, and James, there you go, through he goes, up the inside, into P7. Now can he catch Josh? 2 seconds, too much to ask for, Jonas?
I think it's doable. He set the fastest lap of the race by 6 tenths over Cliffy, despite being stuck behind Martin for the last sector, so there's definite pace advantage there, and I think he'll catch him very quickly. I don't think he'll catch up to his teammate though. It's worth pointing out there could be a potential fight for P3 at the end of this race, because Boffy has been reeled in a little bit by Paul. The gap is a second and a half now, and Dan Aman has been towed along a little bit with him, but he's probably a bit too far back to do any damage. But it's worth watching on this final lap. Boffy down in up in 3rd, Paul in 4th, looking for a double podium for Sauber, double podium for himself for tonight. He's going to be one to watch the last lap. Cliffy begins the final lap now. He's just one more lap away from a famous victory on his return. We've got yellow flags out in sector 2. It's better than Sniper. He's off in Maggots and Beckett's down in 10th position. He won't be losing any positions. I believe he was already 10th anyway. He will stay in 10th because there's only really 10 cars left. Softy is in 11th, but his car's disconnected. And Paul is closing ever more on that Haas in 3rd. It's going to be the one to watch the final lap, as James is quickly reading in on goings. Can he do it though? We have Martin in 8th, keeping up with James. He'll be bringing him along, but I don't think Martin will be able to get both positions, or even one of them perhaps. I think he'd just be there to pick up the pieces if anything were to happen though. In the fight for 6th. Meanwhile, Boffy Dweller still holding that 1.2 second advantage. He's still out of DRS. Unless he makes a mistake here, I don't think Paul can really do anything. He's quite slow through drops, but Paul is the one to make the mistake, runs wide, almost off into the gravel trap. Luckily keeping out there. The gap goes up to 1.4. I think Boffy Dweller is safe, but we come to Cliffy. He's on his first week back. He's driven very well. He's very, very quick. He's definitely going to go far if he gets a full season TGP.
Well,
but for now, on his return for TGP1,
it is Cliffy.
Wins the British Grand Prix and sets the fastest lap as well. Dunne Sebastian Vettel there, a 1:28.791, takes the fastest lap on the final lap, wins the race, doesn't win it from pole I'm afraid, that did go to Softcop, but it's a superb win on his return to TGP1. Aiden retakes the championship lead in 2nd place. Boffy Dweller held on to 3rd. Paul in 4th. Dan the Man in 5th. Goings has beaten James by 10 thousandths of a second apparently, which is incredible stuff there. That's one I want to see on the replay. Dan the Man was 5th, just ahead of that. Paul took 4th. We've got Martin in 8th. 9th for Sir Lang. Bettman Sniper would be the last guy across the line in 10th. And Softcott down in 11th for that disconnection. That would be your result from the British Grand Prix.
Well, Cliffy taking his first win in over 2 years in the league. A fantastic drive from him. 8 seconds it was in the end over Aiden, who did slow down to be fair. At the end, so probably added a few seconds to that. But Boffy Dweller taking his first podium in TGP1. A fantastic result for him, holding off Paul at the end. And James just about unable to close on Goings to steal that 6th position. Dan the Man, a shout out to him. P5 At one stage, looked like he was going to be towards the back of the field in this race, but recovered well. A great pit stop for him, and P5 was the result. But here are your top three, and it is Cliffy on the top step of the podium, and with Softy not scoring many points, it's a fantastic chance to see Aiden now retake the championship lead. Looks like it's going to be a fight between Aiden and Softy for this season's title, Johners.
Absolutely. It looked like Softy might be taking the initiative after that win in Austria, but again, just his season's been full of ups and downs. Another down for him as he disconnects from the lead, and that's just given Aiden the perfect opportunity to retake the title. This one is looking like it could keep going as we see the results now.
Indeed, Cliffy then coming out on top ahead of Aiden. Aiden has crucially lost only 2 points to Softy today, which means his championship lead is from 13 down to 11. It's between those two, it looks like, going into the second half of the season. But Bothy Dweller, as I said, his first podium in the league, so well done to him. In the Haas, picking up crucial points in their hopes for the Constructors' title too. But Sauber second and fourth, 30 points collected from this race alone, and with Paul's podium in the previous race, Sauber also looking good to take the Constructors' title. So a fantastic even then of racing here in TGP1. Fantastic to see Cliffy back, and to think Cliffy's going to be a threat in the second half of the season. Will he play a part in the title race between Aiden and Softy, Johners?
He could potentially, but I don't think he's going to catch him up. He could be crucial if he's going to be taking second places or first places off the two guys fighting for the title. But I can't see him doing some miracle job and taking the title by the scruff of the neck and catching right up. But you know, both races at the top two have had a bad one, but then again, so did Cliffy. Cliffy would have been second in Austria, but crashed out. So I don't see him managing to catch up in the title battle, but I can see him possibly having an effect by just being there, being able to take points off one or both of the guys, should it happen, should it arise in races. But I do believe this one to be between Aiden and the Softcop, and it's going to be brilliant to see what they can do in the next few weeks as we continue on with season 30 of TGP1.
Well, next week we return to Germany for the first time in several seasons. Germany back on the calendar, so looking forward to that race. Also, it's Hungary, which I must note is the 1000th TGP race. That's between TGP1 and TGP2. It's the 1000th race, so watch out for that one. A big landmark for TGP, but a fantastic evening of racing. The title race hotting up. It's closed the gap once again from me and John. It's goodbye, and see you next week.